The air was tense as the giant Cathar war machines marched across the burnt land. These huge machines, built by an ancient and ruthless race, had destroyed many worlds. But this time, they faced a different challenge. Commander Zaylor, the Cathar leader, watched the battlefield from his armored seat. His black, shiny exoskeleton reflected the dim red light of the setting sun. Victory seemed certain, but what he saw was different from what he expected. The humans did not run away in fear. They stood strong and ready to fight. Leading them was Captain Sarah Hartley, a seasoned leader known for her bravery. Her green eyes and serious face gave hope to her soldiers. "Hold the line. Show them what humans are made of," Hartley shouted, her voice strong. The soldiers, a mix of experienced fighters and new recruits, responded with a loud cheer. They gripped their weapons tightly, ready to face the alien threat. As the Cathar machines got closer, human artillery started firing. Explosions sent smoke and debris into the air. But the war machines kept moving, their energy shields absorbing the hits. Private Alex Johnson, just a teenager, hid behind a makeshift wall. His heart was pounding, but he was determined. Next to him was Corporal Elena Vasquez, a tough fighter with many battles behind her. "Remember your training, Alex. Aim for their weak spots," Vasquez said calmly. Johnson nodded, took a deep breath, and aimed carefully. He fired, and his shots hit a joint in one of the machines. Sparks flew, and the machine slowed down. Commander Zaylor was annoyed. These humans were tougher than he thought. He ordered more Cathar soldiers to help the machines. These soldiers in black armor and carrying energy weapons moved quickly and precisely. Captain Hartley saw the new threat and quickly gave orders. "Bravo Squad, focus on the infantry. Don't let them get close." Sergeant Ethan Hayes, a veteran with a robotic arm, led Bravo Squad. He charged forward, his weapon lighting up the battlefield. The fight between human and Cathar soldiers was fierce. Hayes moved expertly, taking down alien soldiers with each shot. In the chaos, a Cathar soldier targeted Johnson. His rifle jammed, and he struggled to fix it. The alien got closer, but Vasquez jumped in, her knife flashing as she fought the Cathar. She killed the alien, saving Johnson. "Thanks, Corporal," Johnson said, breathing hard. "Stay focused, Private." "This fight isn't over," Vasquez replied, looking for the next enemy. The battle continued, both sides refusing to give up. Human artillery and soldiers worked together, hitting the Cathar where it hurt. The ground was a mess of fire and metal, with neither side winning clearly. Captain Hartley stayed strong, her leadership inspiring her troops to keep fighting. She knew this battle was more than just survival. It was a fight to show the universe that humans would not be easily beaten. As night fell, the battlefield was lit by fires and gunfire. Both humans and Cathar took a moment to prepare for the next round of fighting. For the humans, this was a fight for their planet, a message to the universe that they were strong. In the human camp, Hartley spoke to her officers. "We held them off today, but they'll come back stronger. We need to be ready. Rest up and remember what we're fighting for." The officers nodded, tired but determined. They had seen the resolve in their fellow soldiers' eyes, felt the strong spirit that defined their species. Commander Zaylor, watching from a distance, felt doubt. The humans were a tough enemy, and he needed a new plan. He couldn't shake the feeling that this war was far from over. The fight for Earth had just begun, and the humans, with their strong spirit, were ready to fight until the end. The night was quiet, but the tension was high. The humans were ready for the next attack. Captain Hartley gathered her officers around a small campfire. Their faces were lit by the flickering flames, shadows dancing across their determined expressions. "We need to strike first," Hartley said, her voice firm. "We'll send a team to sabotage their camp." Sergeant Hayes nodded. "I'll lead the team. We'll hit their supply depots and weaken them." Private Johnson and Corporal Vasquez were part of the team. They moved silently through the dark, using the shadows to hide. As they got closer to the Cathar camp, they saw the aliens preparing for their next assault. The camp was a hive of activity, with Cathar soldiers moving supplies and readying their weapons. Hayes signaled the team to spread out. They crept through the enemy lines, sticking to the cover of wreckage and rubble. The Cathar, confident in their dominance, had left some areas poorly guarded. This oversight would cost them dearly. Johnson and Vasquez worked together to plant explosives on fuel tanks and ammo stores. The containers were massive, filled with the alien equivalent of gasoline and ammunition. Each step was a calculated risk, every second feeling like an eternity. Just as they were finishing, a Cathar patrol spotted them. The aliens' glowing eyes widened in surprise before they raised the alarm. "Run!" Hayes shouted as the first explosion went off. Fire and smoke filled the air, turning the night into a scene of chaos. The humans sprinted back towards their camp, chased by angry Cathar soldiers. Plasma bolts whizzed past them, lighting up the night. Johnson stumbled as a plasma bolt hit his leg. He gritted his teeth against the pain, trying to keep moving. Vasquez was at his side in an instant, helping him up and half carrying him as they ran. "We're almost there, Johnson." "Keep going," she urged, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Back at the human camp, Captain Hartley watched the explosions with mixed feelings. The mission was a success, but now they had to be ready for the Cathar's revenge. She saw Hayes and his team emerging from the darkness, battered but alive. "Medic," she called out, rushing to meet them. "Get Johnson patched up." The camp was a flurry of activity as the medics tended to the wounded and the soldiers prepared for the next attack. Hartley knew that the Cathar would not take this lightly. They would come back, and they would be furious. Hayes approached Hartley, his face grim. "We did some damage, but they're going to hit us hard now." Hartley nodded. "I know, but we bought ourselves some time. We need to use it wisely." She gathered her officers again, laying out plans for the defense. "We need to reinforce our positions, dig deeper trenches, set up more barricades, and keep an eye out for any signs of movement. They'll come at us soon, and we need to be ready." The officers dispersed to relay her orders, and the camp buzzed with activity. Despite the looming threat, there was a sense of determination in the air. The humans knew they were fighting for their home, and they were ready to do whatever it took. Johnson, his leg bandaged, hobbled over to Hartley. "Captain, I can still fight," he said, his voice filled with resolve. Hartley smiled at him, a rare moment of softness. "I know you can, Private, but you need to rest and heal. We're going to need every soldier in top shape for what's coming." As the night wore on, the humans worked tirelessly to strengthen their defenses. They knew that dawn would bring another battle, and they were determined to be ready. The explosions in the Cathar camp had given them a small victory, but the real test was yet to come. Captain Hartley stood watch, her eyes scanning the horizon. She knew that the Cathar would not give up easily, but she also knew that her soldiers had the spirit and the strength to face whatever came their way. As the first light of dawn began to creep over the battlefield, she took a deep breath, ready for the fight ahead. The battlefield was a mess of fire, smoke, and twisted metal. The humans had fought bravely, but the Cathar were relentless. Commander Zayler, now enraged by the defeat of his elite guards, ordered a full-scale assault. Every remaining Cathar soldier and war machine was thrown into the battle, determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. Captain Hartley stood tall, her eyes scanning the chaos around her. She knew this was the moment that would decide everything. She gathered her officers for one final strategy session. "We need to hold this position," Hartley said, her voice firm. "If we can break their momentum, we can push them back for good. Hayes, take your men and flank the right side. Vasquez, support the center with heavy fire. Johnson, you stay with me." The officers nodded and dispersed to carry out her orders. Hartley turned to her troops, her voice rising above the noise of battle. "This is it, everyone. We stand our ground here. For Earth." The soldiers responded with a rousing cheer, their spirits lifted by her words. They dug in, preparing for the final onslaught. Trenches were reinforced, and makeshift barricades were set up. Every soldier knew what was at stake. The Cathar war machines advanced, their energy shields glowing menacingly. Plasma cannons opened fire, sending deadly beams towards the human lines. The ground shook with the force of the explosions, but the humans held firm. "Hold your fire. Hold. Now. Fire at will," Hartley shouted. The humans unleashed a storm of bullets and rockets, hitting the Cathar machines with everything they had. The air was filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the screams of the dying. Sergeant Hayes led his men in a flanking maneuver, moving swiftly and using the terrain to their advantage. They hit the Cathar right side hard, catching the aliens off guard. Explosions rocked the enemy lines as Hayes' team targeted weak points and supply caches. Corporal Vasquez, at the center of the defense, coordinated the heavy fire. Her team used artillery and machine guns to create a deadly barrier, slowing the Cathar advance. Vasquez herself was a force of nature, moving between positions, directing fire, and taking down enemies with precision. Private Johnson stayed close to Captain Hartley, his rifle at the ready. Despite his injuries, he fought with grim determination, inspired by Hartley's unwavering resolve. Together, they directed the defense, adjusting tactics and rallying the troops. Commander Zahler, seeing his forces struggle, decided to take matters into his own hands. He moved towards the front lines, his massive form cutting a path through the chaos. His tendrils writhed with energy, and his eyes burned with fury. Hartley saw Zahler approaching and knew this was the critical moment. "Cover me," she shouted, grabbing her rifle and charging towards the alien commander. Johnson and a group of elite soldiers followed her, fighting their way through the battlefield. Zahler and Hartley clashed, their battle a fierce and brutal contest. Zahler's strength was immense, his blows heavy and powerful. But Hartley was quick and determined, dodging his attacks and striking back with precision. The two commanders fought with everything they had, their struggle mirroring the larger war. Hartley's soldiers engaged Zahler's guards, the air filled with the sounds of combat. Hartley rolled to the side, avoiding a deadly swing from Zahler, and fired at his exposed joints. Her shots struck true, and Zahler roared in pain. Seizing the moment, Hartley charged forward, plunging her knife into Zahler's chest. The alien commander gasped, his eyes wide with shock. "Impossible." "Not for us," Hartley replied, twisting the knife. Zahler fell, his massive form collapsing to the ground. With their leader dead, the Cathar forces began to falter. Their cohesion broke, and the humans saw their chance. "Push forward. Drive them back," Hartley shouted, her voice carrying over the battlefield. The soldiers responded with renewed vigor, charging at the Cathar with everything they had. The ground was slick with blood, the air thick with the stench of death, but the humans fought on. Sergeant Hayes led a final charge, his men following with unwavering loyalty. They clashed with the remaining Cathar soldiers in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Hayes was a whirlwind of destruction, his cybernetic arm a blur of motion. His men fought with a primal intensity, matching the Cathar blow for blow. Private Johnson, his leg bandaged and his body aching, fired with grim determination. Each shot felt like a small victory, each fallen alien a step closer to survival. Corporal Vasquez, by his side, was relentless, her actions a beacon of hope for the soldiers around her. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the tide of battle shifted. The Cathar, realizing their defeat, began to retreat. Their once unbreakable lines crumbled under the relentless human assault. The humans pursued, driving the invaders from their soil. By nightfall, the battlefield was quiet. The humans stood victorious, their bodies battered, but their spirits unbroken. They had faced a powerful enemy and emerged triumphant. They knew that no matter what challenges came next, they would stand together, ready to fight for their home and their freedom. Captain Hartley surveyed the battlefield, her heart heavy with the loss of so many brave men and women. But she knew they had achieved something extraordinary. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would not bow, would not run, and would never surrender. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with pride. "We held the line." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing across the battlefield. They had faced the might of the Cathar and had not only survived, but had won. It was a day that would be remembered for generations, a testament to the unbreakable spirit of humanity. As the stars shone down on the victorious soldiers, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would always stand together, ready to fight for their home and their freedom. The war for Earth was not over, but they were ready for whatever came next. By nightfall, the battlefield was finally quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos that had raged there just hours before. The humans had won, but the victory came at a great cost. The ground was littered with debris and the fallen, a somber testament to the fierce struggle that had taken place. Captain Hartley stood amidst the aftermath, her eyes scanning the scene around her. Her soldiers, though victorious, were exhausted and injured, their bodies bearing the marks of the brutal conflict. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and the lingering echoes of battle, but amidst the devastation, there was a sense of hard-earned triumph. Captain Hartley looked around at her tired, injured soldiers, seeing in each of them the resilience and bravery that had carried them through. They had fought bravely, their determination unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds. The courage they had shown was incredible, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. As she moved among them, offering words of comfort and gratitude, she knew that their bravery had not only won the battle, but had also forged a deeper bond among them. The cost had been high, but the spirit of unity and defiance they had demonstrated would be remembered for generations to come. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with pride. "We held the line." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing across the battlefield, a triumphant chorus that broke through the silence of the aftermath. The sound carried far and wide, a powerful testament to their collective relief and joy. They had faced a formidable enemy, one that had threatened their very existence, and against all odds, they had emerged victorious. The sense of accomplishment was palpable, each cheer a reflection of their shared struggle and hard-won success. The once chaotic battleground now stood as a symbol of their resilience and determination, bearing witness to their extraordinary courage and unwavering spirit. They knew that no matter what challenges came next, they would stand together, united by the bond forged in the crucible of war. Ready to fight for their home and their freedom, their resolve was unbreakable. The experiences of the battlefield had instilled in them a profound sense of purpose and solidarity, reinforcing their commitment to protect what they held dear. As they looked around at each other, faces marked by exhaustion, but also a newfound sense of pride. They understood that their victory was just the beginning. With hearts full of hope and determination, they were prepared to face any future trials, confident in their ability to overcome whatever obstacles lay ahead. As the stars shone down on the battlefield, casting a serene glow over the scene of conflict, the humans stood with a profound sense of accomplishment. They knew they had proven their strength, not just to themselves, but to the entire universe. The battle had been fierce, and the cost had been high, but their determination and resilience had carried them through. Every soldier, from the seasoned veterans to the youngest recruits, had shown remarkable bravery and tenacity. They had demonstrated that humanity would not bow, no matter the odds, and would not run in the face of danger. Their unwavering spirit was a powerful message to any who might doubt their resolve. The war for Earth was not over, and they were acutely aware that more challenges lay ahead. Yet, as they stood under the vast expanse of the night sky, they felt a renewed sense of purpose and unity. The stars above seemed to symbolize the countless eyes of the universe watching their struggle, and they had shown that they would never surrender. With their hearts filled with hope and determination, they prepared themselves for whatever came next. The trials they had faced had only strengthened their bond and solidified their commitment to defend their home. Ready for the battles to come, they knew that together they could withstand any storm and emerge victorious.